We want to build the #1 international baseball league.
Oh, what a catch! What a catch, baby!
Like I said, I feel blessed.
The pitcher grabbed by Schlitter goes for the force of the plate.
Ground ball, double play, game over. Wow!
This is a money ball, gentlemen, and this.
Money ball!
Guys, we're back at it with the Baseball United podcast. I'm your host, Liam Skivington, and today we're joined by Max Shaukat. And Max has been a titan in the sports and entertainment industry for 4 or 5 decades, and he's also the VP of Emerging Markets and a board member here at Baseball United. So, Max, great to see you again. How's everything going?
Liam, thank you for inviting me to be one of your guests. I really like your program and I follow it religiously, and I'm very honored to be part of this.
That means a lot to me, Max. Thank you very much. So, Max, we have a ton to cover. We got ballpark stuff, we got Arab Classic stuff, but I really want to give the audience a little bit of insight on your background. So, could you tell me kind of how you got started in the sports industry?
So the way it started is that I'll go a little further back. So I'm a filmmaker by profession, and the 80s and 90s were a little good to me. So I made a little bit of money, and the whole idea was that, if you have money, you should have some sort of a passion or some sort of a hobby, and at that time, cricket was my passion. So there's a friend of mine, and he was an investment banker in Toronto. We went to a cricket game. It was very badly organized. So we decided that we are going to get involved and bring professional level cricket to North America. And so that's how it basically started. What I did in those days was something that had never been done before. I brought England and had them play against the West Indies team, and this is the full test teams of England, and had them play against the best of the world team, the West Indies at that time. Had them play against each other in 2 games, one in New York and the other one in Toronto. So that's how it all started.
Got it. So, Max, when you were starting to bring cricket to the United States, professional cricket to the United States, how was that received by, I guess, everyone in the U.S.? How was that received?
So in the US, there was tremendous amount of excitement in the British people from the British Commonwealth countries. There was cricket. There were approximately 2,000 clubs where cricket was being played. But the approach was sort of like bottom up. So there was no uniting force as such. But and so I saw that, and I said that we will have to do something which is dramatic enough and big enough for to get the real attention of the cricketing community, not only in the United States and Canada, but globally. And so this event, when we put that event together, imagine that Yankees playing Red Sox in Toronto and New York. So it was a global phenomena, and and hence the top-down approach that I started, and I did that for approximately 10, 15 years.
Wow. So, Max, I'm sure there's a lot of parallels between your experience in cricket and what you're doing here with us at Baseball United. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. But before we get into that, can you tell me a little bit about how you kind of made that transition from cricket into baseball and what that looked like for you?
So the way this started, there was an entity before Baseball United, and it was for a very short time. And there was a friend of mine who came to Dubai and saw an opportunity here. And at that time, they were talking about the possibility of doing once again at a minor level, introducing baseball here in this part of the world. And there was only 3 or 4 of us at that time talking about it. And so when I got involved, once again my thoughts were that there is baseball in this part of the world. There are people who play baseball, and they are followers of baseball, but there has to be some dramatic element. There's some inciting incident has to happen that will cause it to get for people to take attention, and so the approach was that bring in get top class people involved, like Mariano, Barry Larkin, and people of their caliber to start to get involved in that, and as we were going through the process, there was a transition that took place, and Kash Sheikh joined us, and Kash Sheikh um, basically created a totally new entity. So, Baseball United is Cash's creation, and he is the majority shareholder. And as you know, he's the chairman and CEO of the company. And he has, like everybody has a concept, everybody has an idea. Uh, but to take it, get his own personal investment and get it to the next level was not we were the group that was earlier part of this setup was not capable of taking it to the level that Cash has taken it to, so we it would have taken us 5 7 years, and and that we can talk about, like what are the startup criterias for a startup, and that in that I can explain to you how I feel what Cash's contribution is.
Absolutely. So, Max, as we're on the topic of Cash, could you expand upon your experience with him being so well versed in the sports and entertainment industry yourself? I'm sure you've come across so many high performing individuals. How would you say Cash compares to those?
I think he's in a league by himself. I honestly, truly have not come across another person like him. And I'm not saying it because, I'm for any other reason, but I am, as the elder person in this family. I have seen a lot, from ICC to other sports leagues, from tennis to there's a whole lot of other organizations that I have participated or being asked to participate in. Uh, Cash brings this mentality of a startup. Most of these sports are already established. So the intensity that is needed was not there. What Cash brings to the table is that intensity. Let me sort of like define it in a slightly different way, the way I look at startups. So the way I look at startups are that even if the idea is good, it should fail fast. If it is successful, it should be very successful, but otherwise it should fail fast, because otherwise, like the idea is good and there is a sort of a regular growth, it can take so much time and then the results are not there. The second thing is this, that the way to judge is the growth of a company is linear or exponential. So and I'll come back to how what our growth is and how exponential we are. And the third thing is this, that whether there is a ceiling to the concept, limitless or limited. So in all those areas, I see that what Cash has done has surpassed all these factors. So like we're in the third year. So usually the startups would fail by the third year, and we are still standing around, and at a higher ground than we ever thought. Our growth is exponential. We had in the first year we had 2 games, it was 20 games. Not only that, we are broadcasting our events, we have built our own field. We are into merchandising. So all the verticals that are important in an organization are there, and especially for a sports entity, because a sports entity like ours, that like Baseball United, usually these kind of endeavors are created by national national governments, or huge amounts of monies. um, I'm very very sure that huge amounts of monies will be coming to baseball here in this part of the world, because we are one of the only family oriented sports in this part of the world. Soccer, young men, young, hardly any women. So baseball is America's family's pastime. So as more people will discover, the it will be a phenomenal thing. So now going back to Cash, so to deliver on each of these verticals in such a quick manner, in such a rapid manner, and taking and creating a team which I believe is surpasses anything that I've ever been part of. Like each and every one individual, including you, they are superlative in their field, and the way they are being trained, is to an elite level. At Cash says, he wants everybody to perform at so bottom line is this, that I think that Baseball United is blessed to have Cash as the CEO, because he's very detail oriented, very task oriented. His presentations are flawless.
I agree with you, Max. And what, as we're on the topic of Cash, continuing on that, I think one thing that's super important that maybe not a lot of people really see unless you're on the ground witnessing it firsthand is he leads by example. You saw it at the Arab Classic. He's on the field. He's stamping the mound with the stamper. He's zip tying stuff. He's running around like a madman, doing whatever needs to be done, which shows all of us that are also on the ground there that if the CEO, the highest person in the company, is able to do this, we all should be grinding the same. I think there's something really important to be said about that type of leadership in a small organization like ours.
Oh, absolutely. I think you have nailed it, because, and here I'll give you reference to my film background. If the director is the last person to show on a set, you know that it's not going to be a good film. When the director is the first person to show up and he is totally prepared, then you know that he is responsible to the producers, to the investors, and Cash being a lead investor. Not only that, but including other investors, he feels very responsible. He is totally committed to bringing the best, like pushing him to the best of the limits. I would text him, like it'd be 4 o'clock in the morning, and I will get a text back by him. So I feel guilty that not to disturb him and give him at least a few minutes of sleep. But yeah, he is an incredible asset to this organization.
I've never seen someone work the way he does, speak the way he does, inspire people the way he does,
Yeah,
and just continue to push the boundaries of
yeah,
this sport, Max, in a totally across the world,
yeah,
and just bring it to this region. It's been an absolutely incredible ride to see. I'm very grateful to be a part of it, as I'm sure you are as well.
yeah, yeah. Relentless pursuit of perfection. That's what he
Relentless
did.
pursuit of perfection. I love that. Well said. Well said. Max, I want to talk to you a little bit about from where we started at Baseball United to where we are now. The growth we've seen, you alluded to it a little earlier. Last year, we had the All Star Showcase. Those were the first baseball games ever in that part of the world. Then this year, we build our own ballpark in 38 days. Absolutely incredible. We put on a 21 game tournament that was also incredible. We launched in the biggest sporting goods store in the Middle East and South Asia in Go Sport with our merch. Baseball merch in those stores is so critical for this organization. It's huge for us. I don't know that a lot of people truly understand the impact of that and how far we've come in just a short amount of time in the matter of 2 to 3 years.
This is, simply unbelievable. That's what I mentioned to you earlier on, that this is, a startup should either succeed or fail fast, and if it is successful, it should run as fast as it can, and I think we are setting up an example of our very own, because there is simply no precedence of it. Imagine about three and a half months ago, we were going to have this tournament, nine nation tournament. So not only that, we built a baseball field in 38 days, but we came up with the branding and clothing for these nine teams. And as far as I know, that During the games at our store, Pakistani merchandise was sold out. Palestine merchandise was sold out. UAE merchandise was sold out. KSA's merchandise was sold out. It is unthinkable. It is such like riding a tiger. It is so unbelievable, so enjoyable.
Max, so I want to ask you, as the VP of emerging markets, I have a question. As you've already done this with cricket and you're currently doing it with us with baseball, what do you believe resonates most with fans? Is it iconic players? Is it just the game itself? Is it the entire experience of going to the ballpark, watching these players? What would you say is most critical?
Liam, it's a very good question. And this is something where we'll have to dig deeper, because people don't know the superstars that we bring to these games. Some of them may have heard of their names, but we have to teach them. The level and the expertise of these players, people are not familiar with that. The joys that one can enjoy in baseball, people are not familiar with that. So there is going to be a simultaneous effort of bringing younger people to understand, as well as sports enthusiasts, to get them to familiarize about the sport of baseball, and enjoy the nuances of that. And that is a sort of a process. It will take a little bit, but my background is in broadcasting too, a bit, and so I honestly believe that what we are doing in our broadcast, going further into the years, we will have to start communicating those nuances, because this area is the growth area, and to get earlier on we used to talk about, there are 400 million cricket fans in this part of the world, in India alone. So our objective is, and I think is that we want 10% of that. 10% of that will be 40 million people. 40 million people will be double the size of the baseball fans in the United States, that see the major games. So from that point of view, I think we have a tremendous opportunity. It will take a little bit more effort and energy to get deeper into the communities where we are. And once we launch our franchises in the Mumbai Cobras, Karachi Monarchs, and the teams here in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, I'm sure Cash will have a game plan on how to fill those stadiums.
Max, it's so important looking ahead to when these franchises are finally on the ground. It's so important and crucial to our development as a league and an organization that these guys get on the ground, because then these fans have a team they can connect with, have players they can build relationships with, and that kind of fandom. What do you have to say on that front for a minute?
No, very good point. Because the thing is that uh, just look at the merchandise. So how people sort of latched onto it.
They didn't just latch on, they flocked to it. They loved it.
Yeah, yeah. So look at my cap. Like
Yeah, yep, exactly. You're rocking it. You're representing. Max, so I think you made a great point there in that education is such a crucial point for us, because you can't fall in love with something until you understand it a little bit deeper, right? What do you have to say on that front in terms of the importance of education for our organization moving forward?
So, very good question once again. We have Barry Larkin. Barry Larkin, Hall of Famer. He has a total comprehensive program on how to introduce baseball to the junior level, at the school level. I think he has done some of those programs in Brazil. I'm sure that the team is looking into the possibilities of introduction here. And as we are the responsible for baseball in the UAE, I'm sure that we will have to come up with plans on how to introduce that in schools, because UAE team eventually will have to go to the Olympics. So I'm sure that we will be participating in that.
Max, going back to cricket for a minute, when you look at the success of the sport in the United States now, you must look back and you got a huge grin on your face now. You must have some sense of pride being that you were one of the essentially founding fathers of cricket in the United States, right?
I take great pride. I feel, when I look back, there was some like really major cricket players. There's a player called Brian Lara. He's one of the world's best players. When Pepsi wanted to sponsor, some cricket players, they came to me and I referred to him. And then, Coca-Cola wanted to go to the Indian Cricket Board. They had no idea who to get in touch with. So I feel very good in terms of bringing commercial value to cricket, because it's no sport can survive, because in my conversations with ICC, and the chairman of the ICC in those days was that, in North America, at the end of the day, we have to make it a quarter, like if we have invested, so that we can show that this is viable. But in the British Commonwealth countries, because it's sponsored by the government, so even if it is lost, it doesn't matter to them. But for me, it was very important to make sure that the event is successful. So I take great pride that my events were commercially viable. The broadcasts were commercially viable, and the teams that I brought and the players that I brought, are have created an environment where cricket is a $2 billion business in the United States. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you.
Yeah, Max. So I'm curious to know, and I'm sure the audience is too. What would you say were the main differences between your two experiences, helping bring cricket to the U.S. and helping bring baseball to the UAE, Middle East, and South Asia? What would you say were the main similarities, challenges, and differences between those two ventures?
Good point. So when I looked at introducing cricket, my criteria was, what is the population of Melbourne? So the population of Melbourne in maybe three million people. So I looked at it that way. I said, um, 3 million people, and they can pack a stadium of 105,000 people. Why can't I do it in the New York tri-state area? Because in the New York tri-state area, the people from the British Commonwealth countries were over 3 million of those residences. So that was my model. That if I could get these guys interested in to come and watch our games, then I will have the founding steps to grow from. And that's what happened. So once we it caught fire here, then there was. In Texas, in Florida, in California, there were other people like me who were very keen in being part of that, and they took it to the next level.
And then, Max, what would you say was has been the biggest challenge in introducing baseball to this region?
There could have been challenges, but it seems like Cash has surmounted them with leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, agreed,
Yeah.
agreed.
So, so the thing is this. Yes, I think we will have to bring people to the stadium. That is the
Mhm.
key, and that experience is pivotal. And I saw some of the glimpses of that during our game recently. And I think as more and more we will have to maybe deviate a little bit. um, there's a savannah banana concept, so we may have to bring some elements to get the audience participation, uh, an element of our games. And
Mhm.
the more we will be able to do that, I think that will draw in people to these games, because then it will become a total entertainment package, and through which we will be able to develop the game and appreciate its nuances.
Absolutely, Max. So let's talk a little Arab Classic. First and foremost, though, when you got to the ballpark, you see the field. What was your initial reaction?
Man, it's Field of Dreams. It got blown away by it. It is such a fascinating experience. I know how hard Cash worked and how in detail he worked. Then the team that he assigned, John and Herbie, I mean, these guys were just like unbelievable. They were there all the time, 24 hours. Um, and it is a such a detailed field. Like, I mean, there's nothing missing. It's the same size as Yankee Stadium. And from the base on which this field is put to the sidelines, to the lighting that has been put up, imagine this is the best lighting in all of UAE or in this part of the world. So it is just incredible what we have been able to achieve in such a short time. And uh, and and what a team, what a great effort.
I think everyone that saw the field, Max, everyone that played on the field has the same exact thoughts on it as you, myself included. It was absolutely beautiful to see, to just walk through the sevens and then walk past all these rugby fields, these cricket fields, and then in the back there's a baseball diamond, which is just it's so unbelievable, and it's just one of the most beautiful fields I've ever seen, to be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah,
especially it being all turf minus the mound. It's so immaculate. The branding all over looked beautiful. The team did an excellent job, a superb job at nailing that and honestly working essentially 24 hours a
yeah,
day for 40 straight days, 38 straight days, excuse me, to get it. And I think that's also a testament to Cash's leadership and his ability to push people to get the best out of them without what's the word I'm looking for? Without deterring them in their confidence. Does that make sense?
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Because the thing is that we human beings are capable of extraordinary abilities. And it's only when we are challenged we are able to rise up to it or fall. And so from that point of view, I think leadership is very important. And if the expectation is high, then we try to rise up to it. And it has been all along elite levels. And detail.
Max, we've been during the show, we've been talking about giving fans that experience, that ballpark experience. And I said this on the last show, but I'm going to reiterate it again here. On the Saturday that we had the Arab Classic, I sat on the field in foul territory with Cash, and we were talking just about everything. And on Saturday, Max, I don't know if you remember, there were so many families there. I've never seen so many kids in one place running around chasing foul balls, playing catch with each other, talking to players, getting autographs, everything. It was around like 4 or 5 o'clock. And I know you know what the sky looks like
Yeah.
around there at 4 or 5 o'clock. Orange, pink, so beautiful. It's starting to get cool. So it's like 75. It's perfect weather. And you just feel like you're at a major league ballpark. You really do. It had that feel that day. And Cash used the word magical to me, and it's something that's stuck with me ever since that moment. It really felt magical to be there and be able to experience what we were accomplishing.
Absolutely. And this comes from a sportsman. You know, you can sit, at Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's like huge, or Sydney Cricket Ground, or at Baseball United Ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
And you just look out, and the wind as it blows. And as you're saying, the twilight. And it just feels magical. And it's just like there's something that a good grass or baseball field or a cricket field that sort of infuses in you. It is just like really simply, it's magical.
I think there's something to be said, Max, about the sentiment that anyone can build a field, but it takes someone in a team that's truly special to build a ballpark and give fans that type of experience. And again, it's just a testament to our leadership,
Yeah.
Cash, John, and just our entire team, to be totally honest, about what we were able to accomplish there.
That's
And you were able to see that firsthand. So I would love to get your thoughts on that, just the team in general and what you were able to see over the course of the Arab Classic.
So, like an organization firing on all cylinders, I mean, that is simply amazing to witness, from DT to Salome to like the entire team. I mean, if I didn't want to take the names because then I'm going to forget
I
some
made the
names, and
mistake of naming names last show, and
I'm
yeah, I
talking
knew
about
I
the
was going to forget some.
entire team. Like there was nobody dropped the ball. Like it, each and every person from the moment we started to contact these teams, to their arrival at the airport, to the transportation, to their hotels, to their food, going back and forth, all the delivery of the bats and balls and the commentary. I have to talk to you about the broadcasting element of this, because I was a part of it, and watching it. The commentary was flawless. The level of the commentary is, it was like you're at a Reds game. And the director, that I think that was a brilliant move by Cash to bring Josh to
Yep,
this.
Josh Hall.
Yeah, and Josh was just like such an easygoing professional, because there were a lot of loose ends, when
A lot of unknowns.
yeah, a lot of unknowns, and also a team that has never covered baseball. So the entire team had to be taught, had to, just like we say, zoom in, like Josh says, push in, push out. So the just the terminology itself, people were not aware of. It took a little while, but by the time the broadcast ended, uh, we could compare it with any broadcast anywhere in the world of a baseball game, of a professional baseball game.
Being in that broadcast booth for a little bit of that time, Max, it was such a cool experience for me just to watch how you guys make this stuff happen. Like the behind the scenes of how I've watched a million baseball games in my life. I've never been in a broadcast booth to see how they're actually produced. And it was just so cool. And also a testament to Josh Hall and every other
Right.
director. You understand this. You have to be sharp. You have to be on top
Right.
of your stuff during a broadcast if you want to make it look as flawlessly as we were able to make it look.
No, it I think, um, once again we have created a broadcast that in the long run makes puts us in a different league. Our success and failure in the future will depend upon broadcasters getting involved with us. And now I feel that we are at a stage where we can, on our own, if need be, create our own broadcast. We could be, just the way we have launched our merchandise. I wouldn't be surprised we create our own broadcast platform. It'll be
Hmm.
simply unbelievable.
There's just such an incredible amount of opportunities in front of us, Max, as an organization to build different verticals for us. I think that's another thing truly special about being part of a startup like this.
It truly is. It truly is. And the main thing is that at the speed with which it is growing, and that is fascinating. This journey is phenomenal, because you can. There are a lot of organizations which are sort of like top heavy or bottom heavy. This is like a nimble, strong team moving at a rapid speed.
Max, so the Arab Classic itself as a tournament, how impactful is it for the growth of the sport in all of these countries?
So Liam, the I think the federations that participated in it, the 9 countries, they were blown away by the value that they got out of this. And it is going to serve them in the long haul, because the knowledge that they have gained, the expertise that is required to play at a professional level, now they have a knowledge. They have a sort of a barometer to work with. So, and as you can see, that the talent is there. I think we are, John may not agree with me, But in 3 to 5 years, we will start seeing some serious players come out of this part of the world.
I agree. Max, how awesome was it for you, being a native of Pakistan, to see Pakistan take home the trophy for the Arab Classic?
So the company that I own in the United States is World Cricket League. So I cannot, and the company that I am part of here is Baseball United, and all 9 countries are part of me. So I'm very happy for Pakistan winning the tournament. And a great part of me is very happy with that. But to me, all the teams are equally important and
Yes,
endearing.
agreed with that sentiment. Max, I know you saw the videos just as I did. When the Pakistan team got back to Pakistan, they were throwing basically parades for him. They were throwing flowers at these guys. They were treated like kings once they got back, which is so cool to see. You saw kids running in the streets, chasing their cars. It was so cool to see. And I think it really embodied everything that this tournament was about, all of the goals of this tournament. And honestly, just baseball in general and its ability to just impact people, connect people, and make them fall in love with something.
So true, so true. Because the, I think I was reading yesterday that a Mets player has signed a deal for $765 million.
Yep, Juan Soto.
Yeah, and so imagine that. That is unthinkable in this part of the world. Like, there are players, there are some Indian players who are worth in the same neighborhood, but nobody has signed that kind of a contract. Those examples are not there. We are creating those examples. We created that moment in Pakistan for people to see that baseball can be viable sport. And not only viable sport, but imagine what will start happening once they will realize that if you are a good baseball player, you could get scholarship to a school or college in the United States. So all this ancillary benefits that baseball provides will start to sort of permeate in the marketplace as we sort of move further on.
It really speaks to baseball's ability to provide opportunities for
Yeah.
people who wouldn't otherwise have them. And Max, I think it's so impactful. Whichever team ended up winning the tournament, I think it's so impactful for that team to be able to then go back to their home country and then be inspirations to the
Yeah.
younger generation there, that, oh wow, baseball, I can be a baseball player growing up. And then to your point on Juan Soto signing this massive contract, it's baseball is an avenue to perhaps a different life for a lot of these this younger generation. And I think it just makes me so happy and satisfied to be a part of an organization like this that has the ability to provide those opportunities and create futures for people.
Absolutely. And as you can see, that our journey has just begun. And uh, the way cash moves, I wouldn't be surprised in another year or 2 years that once we start to have some games in India and in Pakistan, in Riyadh, like that impact will be huge. Already I know that that broadcasters from Japan are interested in doing some mutual projects. Cash knows a lot more, that is taking place. So there are a lot of things that are, percolating all over the place, and the moment they will come up on to the surface, people will be shocked, how far we have come in such a short time.
Yeah, I agree. Max, in your own words, why should people get involved with Baseball United?
So I will talk from the point of view as an investment, because we have already talked about why fans should come to these games. With my background in broadcasting, there are very few avenues left where where an advertiser or a promoter of a product can get eyeballs. So sports is the only thing that is left. The reason this gentleman got $750 million contract, over 15 years. So 750, if we are paying this, Mets is paying him $750,000, that he will have to earn $5 billion over 15 years for Mets in order to justify that payment. So that kind of money is in the sports. So the moment people realize that this franchise, this league, that is, the value of it is immense. The possibility to get involved and be part of it at this stage is phenomenal, because the growth potential of an investor has huge returns. I'll just add one more thing. There are so many leagues and so many sort of A League, Triple A, Double D, none of them have gone bankrupt in the United States. None of the major sports league anywhere in the world that I know of have gone bankrupt. So sports is a venue where your investment relatively is safe and the growth potential is huge. So, I mean, tomorrow it may be something else, but today I think Baseball United provides such a huge opportunity for people to get involved. Because that opportunity will not be there. You know, the door will close.
Max, always a pleasure catching up with you. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today on the podcast. I'll talk to you soon down the line.
Thank you very much, Liam. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.